Hello, our program today is about carousel horses and two people who have been painting them for several years. They are very inspiring people, not only because of their talent, but because of their age, and you will meet them soon on this program. Stay tuned.
Welcome to The Better Part, a program that encompasses a diverse spectrum of topics important to our community, which we hope will both inform and entertain you. We invite you to sit back and enjoy the program.
Hello, I'm Diane Sparks. I'm at the W.E. Mason Carousel in the Oak Meadow Park in the city of Los Gatos, California. It is a beautiful summer day here in the park, and this is where I'm going to meet my first guest, Jim Sugai. Hello, Jim. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Tell me what you do here at Oak Meadow Park and when you started.
Oh, well, I'm a volunteer here since the carousel was first brought in pieces, and they had a campaign for volunteers, not only for the horses but for the building and everything connected with this carousel. So I had just retired, and I got to know some of the people here because I worked in this park, and I thought, well, I'll help out a little bit here, and I've been with it ever since.
And how long has that been?
Well, I retired around, I can't remember exact years, but around 1983, and about that time I got involved with this carousel and the grounds. I helped take care of the grounds because I'm a gardener by skill for whatever skill I have, so I did a lot on the gardens. But I stuck with the carousel and helped a group of 30, 40 volunteers over a period of 4, 5, 6 years. It took time, and so I joined them and had a good time restoring these horses.
So, restoring the horses, how did it start out then?
Well, I walked in and they had all the pieces piled into this building after it was completed, and they started putting it together, and all the horses were in bare wood shape like you see out there, and so I wanted to get involved in the preparing of the horses. So I started out by asking them what I could do, and they said, well, you just find something to do and do it. I said, no, I can't do that. I said, somebody's got to get me started. So anyway, I did. I started. Of course, the big job was cleaning up the horses. I think, getting the rotten wood out, repairing the worn wood and broken limbs was one of the biggest jobs, for this restoration. And I got involved with that, and finally we got the horses in shape to paint, and then we got involved in the painting, and I did a lot of that, and had fun. Everybody was, in the same boat. We were all enjoying it, and so that took, till about 25 years since we started to get the carousel completed, and I've been helping maintain some of the things like the lights, and all through the years, and of course I help in the grounds here in the garden.
This looks like a horse that you're restoring. Tell me about what you're doing on it.
After 20 plus years of carousel operation, the horses do wear, especially where the seating is, and some of the paint fades and cracks, and so this is the way we will restore all the horses that show a lot of wear. And other parts of the horse that don't have much wear, we'll do, at the last. But anyway, there's some that really need it badly, so we're in the process of getting those back in shape again. People have volunteered, and
Are you training them?
no, I can't train them. They have to be experienced, at least more experienced than me. But a lot of them are professional painters that have come in, and like this flower, it has to be an artist to do that originally. So I can't do that. I can paint around it, and so we depend on regular artists, and there are enough around that are willing to help out. So, but we're limited to space, so we have to kind of work that part out, and maybe start painting horses out there somewhere, and so forth.
So we're going to move to where you're talking about out there, where the actual carousel is, and we're going to look at some historical information, historical horses inside the carousel area. So let's go there next. We want to talk to Jim about this original unpainted carousel horse. So Jim is going to tell you about the age of it and about the wood. Tell us about it, Jim.
Okay, there's about 30 carousel horses on the carousel, and every one of them came back in faded paint, and these horses were all, I don't know, they call it a dipping system, where they're put into a bath where it removed all the paint and dirt, and down to the bare wood, which exposed all their broken parts, the cracked parts, and the parts that we needed to repair. So this is an example of how it looked when we first started on these horses. And
this one's missing a leg.
Yeah, a lot of them miss legs and ears, but that we had people enough that were willing or talented enough to copy another horse and put the legs back on, and I think that you can't tell the difference now. And instead of using nails and screws, all the parts of original wood carved horses are glued or with doweling. That was a very big job, and
Here's the teeth even.
yeah. But anyway, we had people that even were not necessarily experienced in this kind of work. They got in and did it, and the result is what you see here.
So they weren't experienced like you were when you started, right?
I wasn't experienced. So anyway, I think that's what makes us kind of proud of this.
All right, we're going to move on to the band organ. This is absolutely beautiful. Look at the old wood pieces carved. And what are you holding, Jim?
Well, this is the tape that runs or creates the music. Instead of a record or a disc, this is made what a band organ used to create its music.
Wow, that's just really beautiful.
This is a typical instrument that played for carousels. And most of carousel in its heyday, in the early part of the century, were their music was provided by this band organ. And when this carousel was brought here, the band organ didn't come with the carousel. It was missing or broken or something, and one of the service clubs found this one and donated it. And it took a expert, or one of the very few people that know how to repair these things and tune them up. So it's kind of a rarity to have these.
Mm-hmm. So this was inside this structure.
Right.
This was inside this structure when you received it then?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about the history of the carousel now. The horses, the whole carousel structure. Where did it come from?
Well, the carousel was originally built in England, and they had several builders. There's 3 or 4 different carvers represented here. Ordinarily, the other carousels, they're all done by one carver, but this one he evidently couldn't get one carver to do, so he got horses from several carvers, so it has that variety in it. And of course, when it came here, the horses were all renovated, and the chariots, were gone, and they were created by local citizens that volunteered to create them and do the carving on them.
Now, you said the carousel came from England and went to San Francisco, though, right? Talk about that.
Oh, well, it was bought for the San Francisco Panama Pacific Exposition in I don't know whether it's 5 or 7 or somewhere in there. And after it performed there, it got sold to a carnival, a traveling circus. So if you look at this one, you see the wagon that was used. But anyway, then it fell out of popularity as did all the sideshows that were taken over by Disneyland and others. So anyway, it laid idle for a long time and in neglect, and the people here at Billy Jones discovered it and bought it and brought it down here, and we had a great volunteer effort to restore it and even to get the building up. It was all a community effort. And
tell me about the volunteers like yourself who helped put this all together.
Well, they're just people from off the street, sort of, and they had some interest in the town. I think most of them were local people, but some were, from surrounding communities. But there was just a general interest, and I think the working together and the friendships we had were really, memorable. Yeah, so I think that's one of the rewards for doing this kind of work,
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, what do you like about still being here after all these years? You still keep coming all the time and volunteering.
Yeah, I think that in all the work I have done after I retired, physical work and all, I'm just thankful that I was able to do it, and I figured my longevity is affected by that. So staying active and watching my diet and so forth, and the doctor's help, of course. So I think I give a lot of credit to being physically active. I volunteer on the trails and several other activities, and I think that's what I give the credit, for my longevity.
How about some credit to your wife?
Yes, family. I have a great family, and
how many years have you been married?
I can't even tell you. 69 years, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But anyway, great family. We have a son and a daughter that are grown up and have families, and we're very close, and they're always, visiting, and so we're happy about that.
Okay, Jim, I think we're ready to wrap up this wonderful interview. I'm so happy to meet you and hear about the story of you volunteering and this beautiful carousel here in the park.
I had some lasting friendships here.
The next guest you will meet is also local in our community.
I'm Billy Atwood, your host for The Better Part. And today I'm here at Loretta Brainerd's house, and we're going to walk around and see some of the things she does. She's very talented and creative. And what I like best are her carousel horses. So tell us just a little bit about yourself, Loretta.
Well, I started painting carousel horses quite a few years ago, and I took a class at Craft Mart, and I made a horse and came home to do one for a granddaughter that was to be a birthday present. So I was going to do a Christmas horse, and I got the horse out and started working on it. And I thought, I don't know quite enough about this. I'm going to go back and take another class. So I went back, took another class, and when they saw that horse that I made, they asked me to teach a class. So I've taught at all the Michaels and Lee Ward's and Craft Mart for quite a few years, and had lessons in my backyard here for personal friends. And so that's the story of how I got started.
Okay, well then, and about how many have you done?
Probably between 45 and 50.
Okay, and are they all just this size, or are there any big ones like you see in a regular merry-go-round?
The largest horse I've made, no, and they're not big as in the merry-go-round. They're really for show. The largest one I have made is a 42-inch, and the smaller ones are 28. And when I teach the class, I teach the gold leafing and the making of the flowers for the ones that are on the horses with the flowers.
So after you've finished with them, you say you give them out to your daughters and...
Well, my daughters all have them in their homes, and several people have seen them and liked them and purchased them from me.
you haven't put any in stores, you mean?
No.
For people to look at. I mean, mass production would be kind of hard when you're just the only person.
Well, they had one at Craft Mart by the cashier's stand for quite a while, and so people could see what they could learn when they took the class.
Oh, well, that was neat. Now, do you make up your own designs? Well, and the colors, you know, the whole thing.
Yes.
You just kind of come.
The horses come with the design on them, and I paint that design. But the ones that don't, I have flowers on.
Okay, well then. And do you ever make any for children, you know, to ride on as a regular merry-go-round?
They're too delicate for children to ride on.
So they're just mainly for looks and admiration, you might say. Okay. And what are they made of?
The horses are made of plastic.
So they're all made out of plastic,
Yes.
and they aren't made out of anything else.
And sometimes I get the people that have the horses that the children ride. When the children get through with them, they come and bring them to me, and I make the horses look like that.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. And now these poles, I see there's some different kinds of poles. Where do you get those?
Well, I found some on Craigslist this time, and I ordered 3 of them. I was glad to find them. And some of them are poles that you would put a curtain on. My husband used to make the stands for the poles to go in. And I used to get a supply of horses out of Utah. I don't know if they still have them or not, but I have several on hand that I intend to finish, and then that's probably all I'll do.
Oh, well, and so what are these stands made out of that your husband made?
Wood.
All wood, huh? And kind of carved different and made a little different. I see a couple of different ones.
That one's different.
Yeah.
And that one down there with the black one is different.
So what's the history of carousel horses? Do you know how they ever got started?
Well, I think they came from Europe, and I know that some of them have been brought over from Europe and restored here. The one at Sona Park, people volunteered and worked on those horses.
Well, let's take a look at your workshop.
All right.
Well, here we are in Loretta's workshop, and here's one of her horses. And these little things are, what's their purpose?
Well, the horses, when they're on the springs for the children to ride, have holes there to hold the poles to the spring. So we take them out and we put a wooden place, one of these in there to fill it, and then I do it with putty and put jewels and a ring on it so that it's concealed.
Then it's glamorous, huh?
And see, this up here had
Oh, the holders there, so you had to take care of that too. Now you said something about one side of a horse is going to be different from the other side.
Yes, well, when I do the whole horse myself, I do both sides completely. But when you see a carousel horse, it has a dress side and I call naked side.
Oh.
So because on the inside of the carousel they don't show, and then the dress side just shows to the people that are out watching the merry-go-round.
I never thought to look at the other side of the horse that I was riding. So that's what they do. So now is this got both sides?
Yes, because this was a horse that was ridden. It's decorated all the way around.
Boy, just look at that. Really fancy. A lot of work, huh? To go into making all. And how do you make all these stickum things, the flower petals and all?
The flowers, they're made with Sculpey clay, and they're baked after I make the flower, and then they're painted and glued onto the horse.
Oh my gosh. So how long do you think, like this is a typical horse? How long did it take you to finally get it all done?
Well, I used to tell my students that it would take 27 hours of work to complete a horse.
No eating or sleeping or anything else, just keep at it for 27 hours.
Well, the classes amounted to 12 lessons to do the horse.
For heaven's sakes. So, and then here is where you got all your paints and tacky glue and
yeah, the glue gun too. This is how they look when they haven't had anything done to them.
Okay. And there's the holes that you have to stuff up.
And the hole has to be drilled in the bottom of the horse and in the top to go on the pole.
On a pole, oh yeah. And you do that all yourself? The drilling of the hole and...
I have friends that help me.
Oh, okay. And then we have this little brown horse here. And
this horse belonged to a neighbor's child and was ridden. It was on one of those spring boards. And when they're through with them, they bring them to me to be painted. And then they turn out looking like this.
Wow. So this is the ugly duckling, and this is the swan. And then we have what your husband made.
the stand to put them on.
The stand right here.
And this is where the poles go in. And I make the stand usually match the horse. Like this color of the saddle will be in the feature stripes around here.
There a lot of work goes into all this. Pole and stand and horse. Well, I guess we've seen your workshop pretty good now. That was a neat workshop and very interesting to see all those horses.
Yes.
So is there anything else you can think of to say about your horses?
Well, it's one of my favorite things I do.
And I know you do a lot of different things. Well, this has been a really fun tour, Loretta, and seeing all your talents and all that, and letting us come into your home and see everything. So thanks a lot for letting us do this.
Thank you. Cold hands.
I hope you have enjoyed this edition of The Better Part with our two guests, Jim Sugai and Loretta Draynard. If you would like to be a guest on The Better Part, please contact us at our website, www.thebetterpart.com, or look us up on Facebook, The Better Part. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.